Gender affirming care is this really, really broad spectrum, and I think it's often put into this box as this like scary thing that happens just to trans people, but everybody engages in gender affirming care in different ways. If you put on your shellac gel nails every day and it makes you feel like a feminine boss bitch, that's gender affirming care. And I think that it's important that we talk about it in that way.
Gender affirming care can mean a lot of things. If you're looking at it in a trans context, lots of people think about things like surgery or hormones or puberty blockers, but gender affirming care can also mean other things. It can mean social transition, so things like having a haircut that affirms your gender, having people respect your pronouns.
Things like voice training, electrolysis, hair removal, shaving is gender affirming care in a lot of ways for some people. Sometimes young people will start gender-affirming hormone replacement therapy, but it will only be at a level that mirrors or mimics a quote-unquote natural puberty.
Generally, when we're looking at gender-affirming care for minors and adults, the social aspect of gender-affirming care is pretty similar. A child or a youth or a teenager might change their name, they might get a different haircut, they might wear different clothes, they might change their pronouns. Those are all things that adults do as well. Assistants of their parents can also do things like change their IDs and change their birth certificates. These are all forms of gender-affirming care that youth can access, that adults can access, that have nothing to do with any type of medical intervention.
No children are getting bottom surgery. That is not happening to anybody under the age of 18 in Canada, anywhere, ever, at all. So puberty blockers are a class of medication that are designed to do what they say on the tin. They pause puberty. And you can turn it back on at any point. There's this huge villainization of the quote-unquote side effects of puberty blockers. Often birth control side effects can be a lot worse in a lot of ways, but we don't villainize birth control in the same way.
I think one reason we consider puberty blockers differently than birth control is that they're typically given at a younger age. This idea that puberty blockers are thought of as only a trans issue because transgender health is still sort of mystified in people's minds, and it's something that they don't fully understand. Puberty blockers have been used for cisgender youth who experience precocious puberty for decades now.
I think some of the biggest barriers to young people accessing gender-affirming care can often be family. Many of these things, like getting medication, does require some level of parental support, even outside of quote-unquote parental rights laws.
One of them is just doctor's knowledge. Not every doctor knows about trans healthcare, especially if you live in a rural community in Canada. Many people need to go see specialists, and those clinics can have wait times that extend for months, extend for years.
Broadly speaking, a giant barrier to access are policies put forward by governments. A lot of these new parental rights policies can be really challenging because they're taking away some of the more affirmative space where maybe a kid can't wear the clothes that they want to or go by a name that they want to at home, but at school they're safe. And we see this happening in the United States, where states that have put in really restrictive policies around gender affirming care, even for adults, have people like me who are on these medications and have to be on these medications for the rest of our lives, having to go out of state to get the medication that they need to keep living and existing. So they often end up moving because that's a giant barrier. They can't access the medical care that they need where they live. So the government policy and restrictions on these things can be a giant barrier for everybody, no matter their age.